Hello and welcome back to my channel. Sometimes we do cosplay things, sometimes we tell ghost stories, and sometimes we talk about witchy things. But today isn't going to be like any of those days because, I don't know, I'm just kind of in a weird mood. This has been on my mind and it's my birthday, so I can do whatever I want. It is also the vernal equinox, so spring is now sprung in the air. And it's really cool to have a birthday that sometimes falls on the vernal equinox, so I can pretend that I'm like this magical goddess that is the harbinger of baby chicks and bunnies and flowers. But at the same time, it can be a little distracting having those two things coincide, and it's a lot of pressure for ritual making and intention setting. So as with most wheel turns of the calendar, instead of honing in on that specific day for celebration and ritual, I have these sort of nebulous goals and rituals that form around the same time as the equinox, but not necessarily on that exact day because, I'm just really bad at scheduling. You guys have seen my upload schedule, so you know. Something else that's really exciting for this channel is that someone who viewed this channel actually wrote a little jingle for the intro. So we actually have an intro now. So when I cue the intro later, you will have to send some positive vibes their way. I have linked the YouTube channel below, so you can go send some love that way too. All right, so the topic at hand. I was having a really sleepless night, and sometimes when I have sleepless nights, my brain runs through scenarios that are not pertinent to my life, which can be a really welcome distraction, but it's really frustrating when something's keeping you up that has no bearing on your life at all. And sometimes things that keep me up are movies that I'm really into the franchise, and the movie itself was a huge disappointment. See also Star Wars. Like, I spend a lot of sleepless nights rewriting Star Wars content in my head, but this happens to be about a Disney princess movie. Now, I wouldn't consider myself a Disney adult. I am a older millennial, but I've never been to the parks. I don't really collect the merchandise. But I grew up on Disney princess movies, and I never stopped watching them. I really enjoy them. They aren't even a guilty pleasure. Like, I'm pretty upfront about my passion for Disney princesses. And I love the movies. I think they just get better as they produce more. They fix a lot of the errors that they've made in the past. And every time they come out, they get better. Are they perfect? No. But, they're working to get better. So Frozen hit in 2013. Oh, that was a long time ago. Yikes. I don't think anybody could have known what kind of a success it would be and how it would speak to this whole generation of young girls. Disney princess movies are actually a power fantasy. There was actually this wonderful article I read about how it's okay to let young girls have a princess fantasy, that it's not anti-feminist, because often if you talk to young girls about why they want to be the princess, it's not because they want to be, saved by a prince or taken care of. It's because they want to be in charge and they want people to have to listen to them. So yeah, it's a power fantasy. And I think Frozen really hit that nerve with young girls, and especially, the songs, of course, were really catchy. And if you've ever seen a little girl burst out into the song Let It Go, the passion, they are completely in control of this fantasy imaginary world. It's just a beautiful thing, and I am so on board with it, and I honestly never get tired of it. That being said, I do not have children, and I'm sure that if there was a small person in my home constantly singing that song, I would get pretty sick of it. So there was a lot of buzz and a lot of money to be made, bank to be made. I remember that year that there were so many little small dress shortages because Disney honestly didn't realize what a big hit they had. They had been working on that movie, I think, since the 60s, and it had taken so many different iterations. Elsa had been the villain in the storyline for, many, many iterations. And so I think they were just really nervous about whether or not it would work, this new formula. So there was a bloodbath that Christmas trying to get Elsa costumes under the tree for Christmas. because they just hadn't come up with the supply to contend with the demand. And, maybe part of that was fabricated. So yeah, absolutely, like a sequel just makes total sense. And it's crazy that it took them 6 years to come up with a sequel. And there were so many different rewrites. And so you're thinking like, oh, well, the finished product must be absolute perfection. And then, it came and we watched it. And yeah, the songs were great. The costumes were really good. But like, to be honest, it was just a complete mess. Okay, this is where I'm going to justify this being on my channel at all, because there were actually concerns raised within Disney about the level of like pseudoscience placed into Frozen 2. And you're thinking, how can a story that centers around supernatural magic have problems with pseudoscience? And it was because they really pushed this idea that water had memory. And that is actually a pseudoscience belief like that exists in real life. So this idea of water having memory is the root foundation of the homeopathic range of pseudoscience. And that is that I put a drop of a substance in water and then I dilute the substance. And because water somehow has memory, then with every dilution, the makeup, the active ingredient in the diluted substance becomes stronger, like more potent. And it's a really nonsensical claim from like a Victorian scientist. I'm not going to get into the problems with homeopathy with you guys right now. You can Google that, but I'm just saying that Frozen 2, like a big plot point for Frozen 2, is also a big plot point within homeopathy, which is something that harms people because anytime there's fake medicine, then it can be substituted for like real treatment, and then that can cause a lot of problems. So there were folks who were raising this alarm bell with Disney during the creation of the story. So the rumor was that Disney okayed it because this is a fictional universe, so that water can work differently there than water works here in the real world, which completely ignores the consequence of like, using pseudoscience in your children's movie, like perpetuating the ideas of pseudoscience in your children's movie. So right away, that was sort of a big problem that I had. So in my rewrite, of course, I'm going to ditch the whole water has memory thing. It's just weird. It's weird anyway. So if you haven't watched the movie, I don't know, there's probably spoilers in this, but I'm going to spend very little time talking about the actual movie of Frozen 2 because it was just an absolute train wreck. So if you actually want a scene-by-scene takedown of Frozen 2 and also some really good rewrite ideas, then you're going to want to go to Jenny Nicholson's video. She is one of my absolute favorite YouTubers. I adore her. I take a lot of inspiration from her, so if you draw some parallels between her channel and my channel, that's why. I, however, cannot hold a candle to her talents. But anyway, linked below her frame-by-frame takedown. Also, I need to take a minute to say that I know that it's completely silly and ridiculous to do a rewrite for a film that came out like 2 years ago. But hey, I don't get to dictate what keeps me up at night. Like, I'm sorry guys, this was top of my mind. Like, I woke up and I wrote all this down, and I feel like if I can put this onto the internet, then it will stop bothering me and I will be able to sleep. All right, so the problems with Frozen 2 were that there was a homeopathy reference that was like an underlying plot point, so that's got to go. Also, a lot of the additional characters, like the new characters, were extremely boring, like one-dimensional. I don't remember any of their names, and their outfits, like you couldn't make new costumes out of the outfits. So like no cosplaying outside characters. The new dresses that they made for the princesses were pretty great. They were a little bit more matronly, so cosplaying for adults, good, but cosplaying for children, like, I don't know. Like, Elsa's spirit dress in the film was gorgeous, and you're thinking, like, oh, it's, like, glowing. You could do LED lights with it if you were cosplaying it. But really, in practice, like, in the parks and in the Halloween costumes for the children, it really just kind of looked like a weird prom dress. It really lacked the impact design-wise of that frost dress. Like, I think you're still going to see little girls wearing that frost dress. I don't think that they're going to go for the white spirit dress, like, It's just not as cool. And her hair being down, I get that it was supposed to make her look more wild and feral, and that was supposed to be more of her theme, was that she was like, you know, from the woods and natural, but I don't know. There's just wavy hair. Okay, so I guess let's get into the rewrite. Oh my gosh. So this is actually kind of embarrassing because this is kind of a mess. So me at night when I can't sleep and I'm like writing things down is very confident about how brilliant I am. And then when you wake up in the morning and you look at it, you're like, oh man, what have I committed to? The whole movie is going to open with probably Elsa on the beach, maybe trying to like catch the horse like water spirit thing. I don't know, we should introduce that early because I really love the horse water spirit thing because like little girls love horses, right? Anyway, it could be like dramatic music, very haunting, very beautiful. And then maybe she hears like the calling coming out over the ocean. Then we cut to like the same sequence as the coronation day excitement, but it's going to be Anna's wedding day excitement. And so like they're going through a song with all the preparations for the wedding, just like they did for the preparations for the coronation day. So there's like a lot of parallels there. And then it's going to culminate like Anna's going to be coming down the aisle because then we get a wedding dress, and like wedding dresses for cosplayers, immaculate, wonderful. It's going to be really fantastic. And then Elsa's going to look over Anna's shoulder and notice like smoke in the distance on the shore. And then she's going to see like this ship coming into the fjord that's like, you know, emergency, sinking, on fire, like disaster. And so she's going to have to use her powers to save the ship. But in the process of doing that, she's going to completely like trash the whole wedding ceremony, like, you know, get everything icy and soaked. Anna's not going to like think for a minute about her own wedding getting trashed because she's going to be completely focused on helping the people that were on the burning ship. Okay, so we get the people off the burning ship, and it's this family, right? It's a royal family. They're from some other area of the world. They're French. It would be cool if they were French. It's two parents who are transporting their teenage daughter, who is their princess. For the look of the princess, I was really inspired by this art piece from LaChanda Gatson. And if you want to know more about this piece and the project that it's from, I'll link more information down below. The reason that they have brought their princess to Arendelle is because they heard that Elsa had these powers and that she was able to control them, and their daughter has powers too. And they are desperately searching for someone to help her control those powers because they're fire powers. Hence, she wasn't able to control them before. That's why the ship was on fire. All very exciting. So this is really great because this is another princess. Won't overshadow Elsa. Don't even worry about that. We all love Elsa. You know, fire, a new power, a new costume, fun character we can all get behind and like be excited about and actually like remember the name of. Instead of just like, you know, Villager 1, Villager 2, like who even are, like Soldier, like who are these people? Like, okay, so this creates two agencies. Elsa is going to become a teacher and mentor to this young princess when she has no experience doing such a thing. And so there's going to be a lot of plot development and turmoil for her, going from someone who discovered her own path to someone who's going to try to help, you know, this teenager. And then also the parents of the new princess are going to come from a kingdom that has a elaborate system of courtly etiquette, whereas we've seen that with Anna and Elsa's kingdom, it's pretty cash. So these parents are going to be hosted by Anna and Kristoff, who just had their wedding crashed, and now they are trying to host these very nervous parents who are in a foreign land and who are worried about their daughter and who are constantly being made uncomfortable by the fact that, like, Anna's kingdom doesn't have any sort of courtly etiquette. Also, because Elsa is very consumed with this new student, she's going to be passing off her, like, government overseeing duties to Anna. So now Anna's in charge of, like, day-to-day things of the kingdom. And at the same time, you know, there's these two royals from another kingdom who she feels, like, very self-conscious in front of. Okay, so we need some tension. So there's a scene where Elsa is teaching the young princess things about using her powers. They're going to be on this beautiful plain. There's a farm nearby. There are kids like playing with kites. And so the new princess is going to show Elsa this power that she has learned all on her own, that she pushes the kite because she says, well, I can heat the air. And I know that when I heat air, like it moves the kite or whatever, and that she can create wind because of her like heat powers. And so Elsa had never considered the fact that, you know, air is affected by temperature. And so she like is very skeptical of this power and maybe is a little afraid of this power. And so the new princess maybe gets a little carried away. And so Elsa tries to counteract this by like cooling the air. And then they maybe have an argument, like maybe there's been some growing frustration between teacher and student. And the fight of warm air and hot air creates like a storm, like a tornado, I don't know, something that like can wreck like part of the farm. And so then the young princess has this another moment where she's like taking steps back, where she realizes her powers are very dangerous and damaging, and she gets really, really upset. And she, you know, like maybe there's like a mill that gets smashed, and so maybe she takes part of the windmill and like uses her warm air powers. Maybe she takes the fabric from the windmill and creates this sort of like hot air balloon tarp, and she zooms away, like just runs away. And this is that same moment of when Elsa like runs away to the mountain and she gets her like big moment. So yeah, she disappears like to the north. And so now Elsa has to go back to the kingdom and break the news to the parents that this that their princess has run off, and like she vows to find the princess, but everybody's really upset and tense. And so this is where Elsa has to go down to the beach, and she has to find that Kelpie horse and get it to help her, because like the nature spirit is its own entity, but like can assist her. Because I still really want that scene of her having to go through the ocean to get north, because that's like where the princess went. So I'm leaving everything about Elsa like solidifying the Kelpie with ice and riding it north. Like that was chef's kiss, like a wonderful, fabulous moment. Where she gets to the glacier that's got ice caves in it. But here we are, we arrive at the ice caves. The young princess has made her palace by melting out segments of this glacier. And so we see that this princess has had that let it go moment. We just didn't see it. You know, it happened off camera because we're focused on Elsa because she is the main character of this story. So we're sort of seeing the let it go moment from like the other perspective. And so now Elsa has to speak to the young princess and convince her that like she is wanted, she is needed among her people, like isolating herself is not the right path. And that she's really loved, and that she holds the key to controlling her own powers. And so we still have the Show Yourself song, which is a great song. It's like a kicker, but it's in the context of, as in reveal yourself, but also show yourself as in show your true potential, like to yourself, if that makes sense. So it's more of a duet between Elsa and the young princess instead of a duet between Elsa and her dead mother's frozen memories in ice, which is weird and that I don't like. Then we get the young princess in her Let It Go dress, which is going to be, instead of like fire and angry like it was before, it will transform into absolute like ember sparkles. Because she's fully controlling the fire power. Like it's not melting what's around her. It's like completely controlled, but it's definitely like glowing and radiating, which is going to be so beautiful. And I did mention this before, but of course, the young princess should have like honey colored eyes. And that way her honey colored eyes will match this ember light of her dress. Cosplay wonderful. And then she will, you know, they'll go back to the kingdom where her parents will reveal that they're just happy to have their daughter back and that they were putting too much pressure on her and, you know, all this other stuff. And then we can end with a wedding do-over where Anna and Kristoff actually get married. And maybe like when they actually get married at the end, they decide not to do the big ceremony that's like Coronation Day with all of the steps and the crowd of townspeople, and maybe Anna and Kristoff decide that after spending a lot of time trying to do all of these courtly things, that they actually just are not that into that lifestyle, and so maybe the do-over wedding is actually like in the woods and like, you know, invite only, and it's a lot like quieter, and I think that would be a really fun way to end the movie. Okay, so that is my plot rewrite, complete rewrite. Like I didn't keep very much from the actual movie at all, so I don't even know if you can count this as a rewrite. Is this a fan fiction? Maybe, I don't know. But whatever it was keeping me up at night. So hopefully now that it's out there on the internet, I can go to sleep, which is a lie because I'll just worry about some other weird movie. Well, thank you all for hanging out with me. This was fun. I don't know who's gonna watch this video. Yeah, this is pretty silly, you guys. But like I said, it's my birthday, so I can do whatever I want. And you know what? If it's really ridiculous and you're like cringing out of your skin, you don't have to watch this video. You can go watch somebody else's video. So anyway, I will catch you in the next video, which honestly, I'm still kind of in a silly mood, so I can't guarantee that the next video is going to be any more serious, but we'll catch you later. Bye!